What's up, guys? Block FPL here, and welcome back. Today, well, let's start off by going over probably the worst week in my history, which is Game Week 16 of this 2020-2021 Fantasy Premier League season. 25 points. Where do I start? So, Son, Kane, Dyer all had their match postponed. Soufal didn't play. Zuma didn't play. Calvert-Lewin also had his match postponed. Grealish and Watkins and Martinez all blanked. Not a single one of my players got a return besides Fernandez, who got the 6-pointer. Just as bad as it's gotten. I went from probably 70K to 173K. So just a really terrible week. There's really nothing much more that needs to be said. I do have some issues with my team, and that does sort of come into my latest strategy. Also, no face cam today or no really crazy thing. I'm just trying to get this video out as fast as possible. I've been doing a lot of thinking about what I'm going to do with my team. And obviously, like with Christmas and New Year's going on, that's what I've been spending all my time on when I do FPL things. And wow, it's a tough decision. So the team isn't looking great, but I have these Tottenham attackers versus Leeds. I really like this matchup. I don't think my team is bad for this next week, so I am not wildcarding this week, but the wildcard is definitely on the table in the future. So talking about wildcarding, there's also other chips: free hit, bench boost, triple captain. I don't think I will use any of those other chips. I think over these next couple of fixtures, I will only use my wildcard. Now, looking at this team here, it's not bad. Before we move on to future plans, let's just get over this real quick. I have 2 free transfers, and that does sort of factor into future plans as well. But for now, I think I'm going to captain Kane because of how good Leeds of matchup that is. I was about to say how well they defend, but that's not true. It's a great matchup. I remember on the deadline stream, I was talking about how Leeds, they gave up so many expected goals. Like, when you look at the chart on understat.com, the amount of expected goals they concede is much higher than other teams. And yes, they just came off of a great game, but that's against West Brom, and that's very different. Now, captaining a Spurs player, I'll be captaining Kane, I believe. It can be risky because Spurs have not been creative recently. And outside of good fixtures, I don't like the Tottenham guys. And this is one reason I'm looking at wildcarding in Game Week 19. They don't have a double game week, and then after that, they sort of have a mixture of good and bad fixtures. Now, they can always, turn their form around and start playing better, but there are some good options out there. And let's talk about it all now. So, I need to bring in 2 players if I'm going to wildcard Game Week 19, which I've decided I have. We have players like Bamford to bring in that week, maybe Antonio if he's fit. We've got, who else is there? There's Man City players. So Man City and Manchester United have a double that game week. Now they also, both of those teams now have a double, and they play in the blank game week. So those are good. But if I'm gonna wildcard in Game Week 19 anyway, I don't have to worry about those too much. But let's get straight into what I'm going to do. So I'm looking at Zuma. I don't need him at all. So he's definitely going out this week. My options in, I think my number one option right now, it's tough. There's a lot of decisions to make. I think my best option, I really think that it's Stones. And the thing that sucks about it is Stones is a rotation risk. Maybe a safer option would be Holding. He's a little cheaper, which doesn't really matter. Maybe there's Saiz. Is he going to start? I'm sort of worried about all 3 of these players, whether they're going to start or not. But they have 2 decent matchup, and they play in the blank, and that is what I want. And then with this other 0.9 million, I will actually be getting rid of somebody who will be playing in the blank game week next week, but he won't really do anything, let's be honest. And he comes off the bench a lot anyway. And then I will be bringing in, it looks like Saka. Now, I could do Potence if I did Stones to a cheaper defender. But this way I'm getting, now I'm not a huge fan of Arsenal, but 5.2 million, Saka's a great player in my opinion. Not great, but he's a good player. These 2 fixtures are almost as good as it gets. Probably not for West Brom. They've actually been defending pretty well, but Crystal Palace in this blank looks very nice. I've messed around with some other ideas like getting rid of Grealish and getting Zaha. There's a lot of things I could do, but this way I keep Grealish and Watkins for the blank where they play, and it sort of looks like the best move that I'm going to do. So I'm pretty locked into this. I'm not going to confirm it yet just because I'm going to see. But so the issues with my team in general, so let's say I do this move, and then for the blank game week, I just get rid of somebody that blanks. And I get rid of Justin and bring in like, I have $5 million in the bank. I could bring in, Saiz or any random person that plays. And then for the blank game week, I will have Martinez plays, Stones plays. Let's say Saiz, he plays. Dyer plays, Saka, Grealish, Fernandez, Son, and then the front three plays as well. So that would be my 3-4-3 for the blank game week. Not bad. One Man City player if I get Stones. But Man City can always fail. They've shown this season that Man City really have a tendency to fail in these big games and not like do what we necessarily expect them, which is like 3-0 plus. They've only scored 3 goals in a couple of games this season. So I'm not too worried about not having De Bruyne, considering that you could easily argue that they're kind of bad value compared to like the guys I have with Bruno and Son and Kane. I could get rid of Salah for that week, but I think I'm going to keep the value in him and take that risk there for when I wildcard. So that's the current plan. Get a decent blank game week team, and then most likely wildcard going in to game week 19. Then I can get a bunch of good double game week players. Now I can make this video an hour long talking about all the different ways I could go with this, but the main thing is like, okay, Justin actually isn't a bad option, right? So he doesn't have amazing matchups like Southampton, Chelsea, Everton, Leeds. I could see all those teams scoring, but it's still not bad. But for now, let's say he's probably going to go. I'm going to do Martinez to Meslier. I don't have the best internet right now, so I'm not going to make all the changes, but I posted a picture on Twitter, and it will probably look something like that. So there's a lot of options. Meslier, and then I'll get another playing keeper here, probably the Brighton guy. Dyer's going to go. Kane's going to go. Son is going to go. I think all 3 strikers have to go. The thing is, I've kept Aston Villa for so long that they're almost good options again. Like, so they have the double, game week 19, and then they have some decent fixtures, but I think they'll probably both end up going. Maybe I'll keep one. Kane will go, and this will be a cheaper replacement unless I get Vardy. I am very interested in Vardy over these fixtures. I hope he continues to play regularly. I am worried about him being benched occasionally. The one person that will almost be guaranteed to come into my team finally after all this time is Patrick Bamford. He would definitely be in the team. This spot is up for grabs. This could be even down to Brewster, and I could change formation completely. Saka will go. I'll just bring him in for the 1 or 2 weeks. Stones may stay. That may just be the way it goes. And I will also probably find a way to get in Mr. De Bruyne for the first time this season as I type in his first name instead of his last name, and that doesn't work on this website. So De Bruyne will be coming in. Maybe I go down to Sterling to save the money. As you can see, this is running short on money here. I don't think I can even... Okay, so like I can auto-pick that just to see. Like I can't complete that with some okay players. Like this could be Webster or somebody that's most likely to play. But the major issue with this too is Lewis. Lewis has to go. I also want a backup second goalkeeper. This wildcard gives me that. With all the issues with COVID, I want 15 players that I can play on the field if I have to. I think Sanchez will keep his place. Soufal may have to go. He has good fixtures though, but I may just go down to Balbuena just to save some money because I've got some ideas of things that I kind of want to do here that may take a little more money than I want. But I will probably still have a 4.5 mid such as Anguissa, and then I'll see what I can do with getting a good striker. Rodrigo is an option though. I have looked at him in the past. It would be double Leeds attack, but this is pretty good fixture. So double game week and then straight into Leicester. Leicester isn't a great matchup, but after this, Everton haven't been looking that great. And then obviously Crystal Palace and Arsenal. I think Leeds can win those games. So I'm quite happy with Bamford, maybe even another one. One player I will probably get is Dallas as well. But there's still a lot to go. These defender spots are up for grabs too. But I would say that's something like how my team will look. Obviously Rodrigo, probably not. I don't know. But Vardy and Bamford is something I'm interested in. And I've also looked at Martial a lot. I like Manchester United's fixtures. I don't really like their defenders though. I'm not convinced they'll keep a lot of clean sheets. So this isn't really going to work. I'll need to get some more money from somewhere else. And that's one reason I've said making all these small changes, like maybe downgrading Grealish, downgrading Soufal, that way I could have this front line and this midfield if I want to fit Martial in there. He hasn't had the best goal threat yet, but that's just some of my thoughts at the moment. So yeah, the plan right now is to not bench boost, not free hit, save those for later. Not triple captain, save that one for later, because I will be wildcarding game week 19, and that will mean that I cannot use any other chips that week. And the good thing about this is I'm saving my free hit, and that's kind of important because we know there will be doubles and blanks in the future. And what that means is I can just completely ignore 1 week. I could be like, all right, I'm just going to free hit that week. I don't have to worry about getting people that play that week, and that will make things a lot easier in the future. But using my wild card early, the upside of it is if you use your wild card too late, you have less time for the players you get in to really make an impact on your team. At this point, wildcarding in game week 19, I know that I'm making something that can have a long-lasting good impact. Getting players in like Bamford, you saw those fixtures. They're a lot better than Kane with alternating Liverpool and then Chelsea in a team that hasn't been creative anyway. And I think this looks like a decent time to trade out some of these premiums. And even Calvert-Lewin, I've had him the whole season so far, and it's not the best fixtures. They're okay. The double, he doesn't have a double, so right away it's like I get an immediate advantage, and then if I can just hold that advantage over the long term, get somebody a little cheaper in there too. So I think there's a lot of advantages to wildcarding here. So I'm pretty set on using it game week 19. But yeah. Thanks for watching the video. Hopefully you have an understanding of what I'm going to do, because I've got a lot of questions about that. I will say that this is it's very team dependent, right? But if you're in a similar situation to where I am with the triple Spurs, that's something a lot of people have, and the Villa is a lot of a lot of people have Villa still, and it's kind of weird because they've been through some terrible fixtures, but hey, we finally get to keep them, and now it's like they're almost a decent option again. Who knows with Grealish though? One thing I will say is Grealish down to El Ghazi looks pretty good because he's on penalties, but I don't know if he's going to keep his spot. And that's the issue with a lot of these players that I'm looking at, especially the defenders. But yeah, I think the one thing that caused this wild card is some of my recent transfers. I got in James, instantly had to get rid of him. I got in Lewis, he's not even a starter anymore. The week I bring him in, they stop starting him. And then other than that, the team just sort of slowly gotten bad fixtures, and I haven't kept up with it. And there have been some changes in form, and that's just what happens. I would say mainly the Tottenham guys are at fault for that. But yeah, captaining Kane too. I think Leeds is still just too much of a good matchup. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and peace.